All right, this is that 64 AC4, the JMI era Vox. The new Weber Blue Pup Alnico speaker arrived. It's been wired in with some 20 gauge Teflon coated stranded wire. This amp had two very unsafe things. First of all, it had no internal fuse, no mains fuse. And that's because in the UK, the old plug has a fuse in it. It says fused. And these things come in 3 amp and 13 amp versions. And while you can change that out, most do not. So a 3 amp fuse will not offer this amp any protection. Particularly with the 240 volt use, it needs a 1 amp fuse. This is running now at 110, 120 volts, US mains, so it's got a 2 amp fuse. As I mentioned in the previous video, there was not room in the chassis to install a fuse holder that screws to the chassis, which was my preference. So it has this inline, which is not beautiful, but it is better than nothing. It'll keep it safe. The other thing about this amp that was really dangerous was if you pulled out the slider board to change, say, this EL84, and you forgot that the amp was on, because it's easy to do on this. It doesn't have a pilot light, and the tone knob, the tone pot, is also the power switch. So you could have this thing plugged in and powered on and not realize it, and reach back there to change out that EL84. The primary of the output transformer connected to a little tag strip mounted to the output transformer. It was live. It was bare metal. You could reach back there and get 280, 300 volts DC and no more U. So I gave those terminals about 4 coats of liquid electrical tape. So that death hazard is no longer there. And the amp has protection. And it has the new Alnico 8-inch speaker, and it's sounding pretty good. But let's hook it all up with some guitars and a real mic and see what really good sounds like. All right, it's all sounding very good except for one thing. As you could really hear in the Strat, there's a bit of a buzz on certain frequencies. What that is, and I was afraid of that when I first put the speaker in, behind the brown grill cloth that you see on these old JMIs, there's a black piece of cloth. It's a rougher piece of cloth. And on this one, it is torn. And it has basically 2 flaps. And I think they're flapping against the speaker on certain frequencies. So I need to pull this speaker and see what I can do about that black scrim, because it cannot continue to vibrate against the speaker because it causes those artifacts, those little scratchy distortions. So not quite done, but that's how these things go. I don't want to take the baffle off and remove all the piping and remove the gold channel, remove the grill cloth to put in a new piece of black fabric. That just becomes a nightmare, and too many things can go wrong when you do that. So I'll talk to the owner. Worst comes to worst, I cut away the black material from behind, but I'm going to see what other options there might be for that, including putting a new scrim on the back of the baffle, say about this big, between the baffle and the new speaker, so there's a flat surface. So the old cloth in there might move up against the new fabric, but it wouldn't be moving up against the cone of the new speaker. So we shall see.